Hey guys, welcome back. So now we're continuing to make our way into the Dark Web event, and with this one we discover Ben Reilly's plan to get his memories back from Peter Parker by way of some very dark methods. And with that said, let's get into it. But first, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to catch spills every week, and don't forget to hit that bell up top so we can squat up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so for this one we jump back in not too long after our discussion on Ben's transformation into Chasm, where we would see shortly after he was laying low with Janine. But during this time we would begin to see Janine have some doubts about Ben, because when Ben was believed to have been dead after his fight with Peter, like we'd seen, Janine didn't give up on Ben and she went back for him. But with her seeing this new and different version of Ben who has climbed out of that rubble with an obsession for getting his memories back from Peter Parker, which has driven him to a place of desperation to get back what he's lost, and now it's brought Janine to this point to where she's just like, where will this end? But when we jump in here, we head through a few different seasons, starting with spring, and at this point we come to find that Ben has raided through a number of Beyond safe houses, and as Janine gets back, he's telling her all about the tech that he had found in the most recent Beyond safe house, with the most notable item being some type of key. But at this time, with Ben going on and on about finding a way to get his memories back and also go after Peter, Janine asks him if he's still going after Spider-Man. And like we've seen before, Ben still blames Peter for everything, and he'll go to any extent to get those memories back. But with Ben going through this new tech that he had taken from the Beyond Corporation, and mentioning that with what he found, part of that equipment had been a key, but also it was part of a clandestine deal made by the Beyond Corporation for an old military program called Project Purgatory. And with how this is done, we're shown that this is the same Project Purgatory from New Mutants Volume 3, when at the time we had found that the United States military had founded Project Purgatory after the X-Men Inferno event so that they can conduct supernatural and paranormal experiments as a way to create their mutant contingency. And yeah, like long story short, it was messed up, because these guys were taking genetic samples from mutant babies by literally cutting out pieces of their skin in order to reverse engineer the door that was created during Inferno so that these guys can access Limbo. And after that they started experimenting on demons and eventually making soldiers who were hybrid with demons by transplanting their limbs or their organs into human soldiers as a part of Project Purgatory. And yeah, I'd say it's some pretty dark stuff. But then again, it's another issue of New Mutants. But at this point with Ben trying to figure out how to open this door, he says that the Beyond Corporation was close to figuring it out, but he believes that he can make it work because he feels something calling him on the other side of this door and he's got to answer it. But with Ben saying this, as you can imagine, Janine, she's kind of like, I don't know. Like for her, this is kind of the last straw, so she leaves. But when she makes her way to Grand Central Station, and she buys a ticket to just get away from Ben, but then she stops to grab a bite to eat while she's waiting on her train, and the chef comes out to have a talk with her. And at first it seems like he's just being nice because Janine looks down, so he's trying to cheer her up, but then another waitress walks up and she tells the guy that the dishwater is 5 minutes away. And when this happens, Janine, she pretty much has it figured out, like what's really going on here. And at this point, the guy, he puts his leg up to kind of try and keep her from leaving. But again, at this point, he's no longer trying to fake a conversation. And it's here we find out that the Beyond Corporation, who we had seen get Janine out of prison, they'd actually turned around, flipped the script, and said that she broke out of prison. And when she hears the dude say this, she stabs him in the hand with a fork, and she breaks that leg that he was using to try to keep her in the seat. And right away, she just takes off. And he did not follow. But just after this, we see Janine make her way back to Ben Reilly, and she tells him that she's here to stay, and if they have to burn the whole world down just to make Ben whole, then she's willing to do that too. But with seeing this, I gotta say, and maybe it could just be me, but I almost feel like Janine just came back because she ain't had nowhere else to go. But I'm curious to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments. But after this, we then make our way over to Summer. And it's here where we find, while Ben Reilly's just out and about, that he's mistaken for Peter Parker by Gus, the debt collector. And in a way, this is kind of a callback to Amazing Spider-Man Volume 6, Issue 1, when Peter had just come back from his injuries at the beginning of this series, and we'd seen the debt collector hounding him about his medical bills. I mean, this dude was even reaching out to Aunt May. It was terrible. And to me, I will say it was kind of funny when he told Peter that somebody has to take responsibility for the balance. Like, that was kind of messed up. But fast forward to now, Gus sees Ben and for obvious reasons, he thinks he's Peter. But Ben more or less just tells Gus that he's not Peter, but he'll make sure to pass the message along, and after that, Ben just goes on his way. But not too long after this, we see Ben make his way to Janine, and when he does, he hands her a piece of skin in a petri dish. And really it's here where we find out that they don't know where this skin actually came from, but all Ben really knows is that he got it from the Beyond Corporation, and they say that it's decades old. But regardless of Janine not liking that this thing runs off of somebody's skin, or better yet, this skin is the key to the ignition of this device, but she goes ahead and goes along with it. But as they open this door, Ben tells her that even though he's not sure what's behind this door, he feels something pulling him and he feels like he's going home. So of course Janine goes along with it, they open this door and Ben goes through, making his way to Limbo. And when he gets there, he finds himself before Madeline Pryor, the Goblin Queen who is also Queen of Limbo. But upon his arrival, his demons and her demons, they're calling the two of them imposter, clone, unholy fraud, imitation. And the two of them notice that their demons are pretty much saying the same thing. But as Ben and Madeline get closer to one another, their demons then begin to draw closer as well. And for a moment they're quiet, and then the demons start to tear each other apart. But nonetheless, they're no longer stalking Madeline or Ben, which then gives them the opportunity to formally introduce themselves to one another, and Ben then lets her know how he was lost until he felt himself drawn to this place. And it's here where she lets him know that Limbo has taken on the flavor of its queen, calling out to those who know her pain, calling them home. And after that, she tells Ben, let's go and let's see what we can do for each other. And from here, this leads into the free comic book day Spider-Man Venom issue 1. And really, there's not a whole lot that happens in this issue, and I mean in some parts there are, but as far as Ben Reilly and Madeline Pryor, they really just had Spider-Man fighting the mailbox long enough for him to get caught and nearly get a citation for it, which really is just the pettiest thing that you could do. But with this happening at the time with what we were shown, it was really more of a teaser to show us Madeline Pryor and Ben Reilly working together without spoiling too much about Dark Web or the events leading up to Dark Web. And more or less, that's the reason why at the time we only got Spider-Man fighting a mailbox. But also I'll say more notably in that issue, we also got a look at what's to come in the Venom series, with Dylan reaching out to Normie to help Dylan help his dad, which right away just reminds me of Venom the Good Son, where we'd seen Dylan and Normie develop a friendship outside of what we saw in Absolute Carnage. And really from what we'd seen with Normie's history throughout the Red Goblin event, Absolute Carnage, and Web of Venom the Good Son, it kinda has me looking forward to seeing him team up with Dylan in the upcoming issues of Venom. But after this with Ben Reilly, we head over to the fall season, and it's here at this point where he's also brought Janine to Limbo. But quickly after dinner with Madeline Pryor, Janine believes that Madeline is going to try and take Ben from her, but Madeline quickly expresses that she tried to take somebody man before and it didn't go too well. And I mean, if we're talking about Cyclops, that went pretty well, at least at first. But you can tell that Madeline is trying to say that she's learned her lesson, more or less. But with her relieving Janine of that idea, she notices that something is still bothering Janine. And Janine tells her that the issue is that she still feels like a liability. And it's here where Madeline tells Janine that she no longer has to sit on the sideline and just be at the mercy of powers beyond her control. So from here, Madeline gives Janine the power to help Ben and to make the choice to wear the mask that she chooses. And from here, Janine takes on the identity of Hallows Eve as a gift from Madeline Pryor. And Madeline also lets her know if they insist to see her as a monster, then she'll become a monster. But even still, the choice is hers, and that choice is endless. And so after this, we then move forward into winter, where we find that Ben has been approached by Gus, the debt collector, again. But this time, when he runs up on Ben, he makes the mistake of calling him a fake Peter Parker. And immediately Ben takes that as a sign of disrespect, and he literally just beats the brakes off this guy, nearly to the point of death. But then after doing this, Ben then takes Gus to Limbo and before Madeline Pryor. And really it's here with poor Gus being the example, where we start to get a glimpse into the plan of Madeline Pryor and how she plans to be a benefit to Ben. Because it's here where she tells Gus to eat the fruit from the tree of exquisite liberation, and with doing so he'll be free. So of course Gus takes a bite thinking that he'll get to go home, but instead Madeline tells him that his soul is free from his body. And it's here where she inhales just a portion, or as she would say, just a taste. And she lets Ben know to inhale this would be to know all of him. And really it's here where Ben understands what he needs to do to get his memories back from Peter Parker. But for Ben, he admits that he wants more than a taste. And to do so, he's gonna make sure that Peter eats of this fruit. And when Peter does, Ben is taking everything. And in the case of Madeline Pryor, her eyes are set on Jean Grey. But in addition to that, she wants answers, because she really wants to know whether she was given Limbo to rule or just to get out of the way. And with her saying this, I imagine that her and Ilyana Rasputin will also be crossing paths again very soon. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all your support. And for anyone who's new here who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below so we can go to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.